It comes to no surprise that just like music created by Kanye, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has changed over the years. What was once a simplistic game of big monsters swinging at each other is now a much more complex, strategic game of big monsters swinging at each other, but in different color. You see, back in the day of OG Yu-Gi-Oh!, you could tell how strong a monster was based off of the attack and defense, and how easy it was to summon. This is why cards like Summon Skull and Voice Raider dominated the early metagame, at least in the playground. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, there were monsters that had powerful effects. Cards like Magician of Faith, Man-Eater Bug, Witch of the Black Forest. These monsters have low attack and defense, but their effects were invaluable. Most notable of the monsters, of course, is going to be Sangan, since it was able to search out Summon Skull. And its effect is so versatile that it's even used in combos today. You see, in this collection of weak monsters that were introduced during the DM era, there was actually one monster that stood out among them all. And this is because its effect worked differently compared to every other monster. A card that, if you're a fan of the anime, I'm sure you've heard of because it saved Yugi's ass on more occasions than one.
Say hello to an unstoppable family of monsters! The five Karibo brothers!
My name is Jeff.
Now, Karibo was revolutionary during the DM era as one of the few monsters that you had to discard in order to gain its effect, and it couldn't be stopped by traditional spells and traps. On top of that, it was a defensive effect that protected you against damage, a powerful effect that is still slept on today. Now, unfortunately, Karibo's uniqueness is what led Yu-Gi-Oh! To be the power crap mess that it is today. You see, in recent years, the term hand trap is an unofficial term, but it's been tossed around by players today, and it's grown its footing, alright? See, a hand trap is basically a trap card that you can activate from your hand by either playing it or discarding it. Traditional trap cards are required to be set first before you can activate them, so if you go second and you have a handful of mirror forces and trap holes, they're useless until turn 3. But hand traps are not limited to any one type of card. Hand traps can be monsters, spells, traps, credit, debit. So long as the activation requirements are met, you can activate a hand trap during either player's turn. This was extremely game breaking. Your opponent doesn't actually know if you have a hand trap in your hand unless you've searched it already or you're activating the hand trap. Because with traditional trap cards, you can actually see them on the field. Whereas with hand traps, you don't know if it's a hand trap or if it's just a missing piece of Exodia. It adds a extra difficulty layer to the game that was never introduced in the original card game. But what does this have to do with Karibo? Well, it's very simple actually. Karibo was the first hand trap. Its requirement to activate is reactionary, so you can't activate it until an action takes place. In Karibo's case, it's the action of your opponent attacking. So Konami took this concept and expanded upon it in later years. During the GX era, we got powerhouses like DD Crow, Honest, Effect Veiler, and Maxi. The key takeaway of this is that, just like Karibo, all of them work by discarding themselves to activate their effects. DD Crow can banish, Honest can buff monsters, Veiler can negate monsters, and Maxi can do what Maxi does, alright? Anyways, most of these cards still see play to this day, unlike other staple cards like Mirror Force, Darkhold, Trapple. These were all fast, and as the speed of the game kept increasing, especially in the 5Ds era, they needed to keep up. So, Synchros, yeah, that's me, drastically increased the tempo of the game and steadily gave birth to the current combo era of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a casual schmuck myself, I kinda quit around the time frame of Synchro's first release, but I kept up with it by watching videos and just like hearing one-offy conversations online from time to time. But I've noticed that a lot of players were also quitting the game because it became too fast. Because what used to be a calculating game of chess is now a game of pump and dump. And thanks to the 5Ds anime, a new wave of players started liking the game, and the game started gaining popularity at that point. More people liked the fast-paced nature of the game, but there were also players who preferred the slow-paced nature of the game. And so Konami was at a standstill. They needed a way to stop combos from getting out of hand, which could potentially retain old players, but they also wanted to make new cards that would keep the newer players happy with the tempo of the game. And that's when they went back to Karibo. You see, this is when they got the massive idea. Let's release a line of cards designed to discard themselves in order to interrupt combos. This is what led to the first of the 6 Ghost Girls, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. And her effect reads, during either player's turn, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can discard this card, reveal 1 card in your extra deck, then look at your opponent's extra deck, and then banish all cards from their extra deck with the same name as your revealed card. So a bit of a story time. I remember when I was first getting back into the swing of the game, I was playing good old Laval Quasar Dragon Turbo, and my opponent activated Ghost Reaper on me, and I had no idea what Ghost Reaper did at the time. And so after I read the card, I realized, oh shit, why the hell do they play Quasar in their Geeski deck? Well, they play it because Geeski never really has to go into the extra deck. And that's how I lost my Quasar on every single duel in that match. I mean, the first time it happened, I had to call the judge to make sure, okay, then what the hell is going on here, man? I never saw this card a day in my life before. And it was eye-opening for me. So hats off to new players who can hop into the game and just knowing what Nibiru does and all the other nonsensical cards that we have nowadays. I couldn't see myself learning that right now. But anyways, let's continue. Following Reaper's success, they released the remaining Ghost Girls, each of them having 0 attack and different reactionary effect that can interrupt your opponent's combo. These cards became the spiritual successor of Kuriboh in a sense, in that they gave Konami a sense of good conscience. Let's go with that one. They gave Konami a good conscience because now they believe that, okay then, well, I can make this powerful card because Ash Blossom exists. I mean, that's probably the only reasoning that I can give you for them creating cards like Quick Launch and all the other nonsense, which is like one-offy cards that can summon from the deck. Anyways, maybe in the earlier times of Ash Blossom that would be fine, but just like I told you earlier, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has evolved nowadays, so just having one Ash Blossom in hand doesn't have the same effect that it used to when it first released. With decks playing extender after extender, players have learned to play around multiple hand traps. This means that combo players can still be oppressive if you don't play your hand traps correctly. And this is even worse if you draw no hand traps against combo players. And with the addition of cards like Cross-Out Designator and Call by the Grave, it can become very annoying to try to activate your cards. Hand traps create an environment where players have to draw the out in order to, stick around throughout the nonsense that Konami creates every single year. Cards like DPE, the Adventure Package, you have to play hand traps nowadays in order just to keep up with the game. And personally, I think hand traps are a necessary evil, because when you look back at it, no one really likes floodgates at all. And no one likes not being able to play the game though. So having the ability to open with Nibiru and Ash Blossom gives me a small sense of security that I can actually win with my Starry Night deck. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like or comment your thoughts down below. And well, I'm gonna go and work on my Starry Night deck, and I'll see y'all for the next one.